Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well, it's been a long time, friends, since we've spoken about the concept of Zuckerbucks. For those of you guys who aren't aware, well, Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg allegedly poured millions upon millions of dollars into the most hotly contested battleground states for various different reasons, but at the end of the day, all under the umbrella of helping the Democrats win the 2020 election. Democrats talk a whole lot about election interference, dark money, corporate money, foreign interference. But it seems as though what they forget to mention is that not only does it exist on their own political side, but that it might be more prevalent and that, interestingly enough, based on this latest report, it might have been illegal. You heard that right. Mark Zuckerberg himself may have broken Wisconsin state election laws. There's a report that's floating around claiming that Mark Zuckerberg's Zuckerbucks scheme may be considered bribery under Wisconsin state law. And so as you might expect, Mark Zuckerberg may in fact be in some legal trouble, as some of these huge bombshell reports continue to drop across different states. Let me show you guys what's going on here. The accusation is pretty explosive, but of course, before we get into any of it, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible. We are still shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm, hidden from non-subscribed viewers. And with that out of the way, let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so first off, we're not just talking about some random investigation here. This is the report right over here from the Office of the Special Counsel in Wisconsin. And essentially, the TLDR of this report is as reported right over here from an NPR subsidiary in Wisconsin. Gableman report calls for decertifying 2020 election. The legislature's non-partisan lawyers, but the legislature's non-partisan lawyers say that's not possible. Now, whether or not it is or it isn't, at the end of the day, isn't really what's important here. What's important is that this report is calling for the decertification, and that this report is naming Mark Zuckerberg exclusively as literally being a criminal actor who allegedly tried to influence and infiltrate the 2020 election in the state of Wisconsin. Now, of course, as you guys can see, the second interim report here is quite long. I mean, just scrolling through this whole thing. But luckily enough, there's always good people who are on top of everything. And we have this piece right over here from American Thinker. Zuckerbucks declared bribery by special counsel in Wisconsin. Monica Showalter gets us all of the excerpts that we need. Now, I'm not an expert on any of this stuff, so I'm just going to be reading from this article. I'll give you guys the information. You can make your own opinion, and of course, we'll discuss it. She starts off with an excerpt from the Federalist, stating that nearly $9 million in Zuckerberg grant funds, directed solely to 5 Democratic strongholds in Wisconsin, violated the state's election code's prohibition on bribery. The conclusion represents but one of the many troubling findings detailed in the report submitted today by a state-appointed special counsel to the Wisconsin Assembly. Last August, Wisconsin Assembly Speaker Robin Voss authorized the Office of the Special Counsel, headed by retired State Supreme Court Justice Michael Gableman, to investigate concerns about election integrity in the 2020 election. Gableman delivered an interim report to the State Assembly on November 10, 2021, and earlier today, the Special Counsel provided a second interim report to the state legislative body, noting the report is final in the sense that it provides a list of recommendations with time for the legislature to act before the close of its session in March. That's quite a different thing from what the Zuckerbucks NGO that was named in the damning report, the Center for Tech and Civic Life, claimed it was doing. Get a load of its great gaslight posted on its website about what it was doing. Every community depends on their local election office to lead a voting process that is trustworthy and inclusive, but too often election officials must spend their limited resources struggling against outdated technology, all while facing a steadily growing list of responsibilities, including implementing election legislation, educating voters, equipping voting locations, training poll workers, and tackling cybersecurity concerns. Across many jurisdictions in the United States, there are often only a handful of people responsible for this critical work. Where we come in, we offer election officials affordable opportunities to expand their communication and technology skills through tools and training. As a result, they're able to conduct more trustworthy, inclusive elections, troubleshoot and prepare for the problems in advance of election day, better inform their community with the information that they need in order to vote, and increase civic participation. So that's what Zuckerberg's NGO was claiming it was doing, the Center for Tech and Civil Life. But as Ms. Showalter from American Thinker goes on to report, now let's look at how the nice-sounding activity looked on the ground to those who were under it. Here's a June 2020 report from John Solomon's Just the News. The now retired elections clerk in a key Wisconsin county says political activists working for a group funded by Mark Zuckerberg seized control of the November elections in Green Bay and other cities, sidelining career experts and making last-minute changes that may have violated state law. They had no business doing that, ex-Brown County Clerk Sandy Juneau told Just the News, recounting how funding from the Zuckerberg-backed Center for Tech and Civil Life injected chaos and unnecessary changes to how ballots were counted in Green Bay in November. Juneau told Just the News editor-in-chief John Solomon on Tuesday night's Securing Our Elections, Protecting Your Vote special on Real America's Voice that election management in Green Bay was turned on its head last year after a massive infusion of cash from CTCL, the Center for Tech and Civil Life, Mark Zuckerberg's NGO. The group poured millions of dollars into multiple key Wisconsin Democratic strongholds in the months leading up to last year's presidential race, ostensibly in an effort to shore up voting systems and infrastructure amid the COVID pandemic. The organization was ultimately funded with more than $1/3 billion by Zuckerberg and his wife Priscilla Chan, and that money was funneled to additional election funding efforts across the country. Juneau claimed that following the infusion of CTCL cash into Green Bay, the mayor's office and the chief of staff began to take over election functions, and that is not something under state statutes they have the authority to do, she said, because under Wisconsin law, municipal clerks, the county clerk, and the Wisconsin Elections Commission are the individuals charged with running elections. Juneau said that the COVID-19 pandemic had already thrown the gear into chaos prior to the CTCL's involvement in Wisconsin elections. As we got closer to the November election, she said, we found out that this outside group had come in and was basically trying to redo our forms and documents that we use statewide. And these people were from out of state and had no business doing that. So they were beginning to get involved with things that they didn't have the expertise, she continued. They were working primarily with our 5 major Democratic-based cities. So they were breaking the consistency of documents and processes and procedures used statewide. And this is exactly what the special counsel's investigation found. That was hardly all. The report focuses on the unequal treatment of voting districts, with urban districts getting virtually all of the cash and the rest of the state getting nothing. On pages 9 and 10, the WSVP requires that the Zuckerberg 5 provide assistance to help voters comply with absentee ballot requests, SIC certification requirements, and none of the private funding in this regard would benefit residents outside of the Zuckerberg 5. Instead, it targeted only the Biden profile voter. In Green Bay, the city would use the private money to fund bilingual LTE voter navigators to help Green Bay residents properly upload a valid photo ID, complete their ballots, comply with certification requirements, offer witness signatures, and assist voters prior to the elections. Quote, voter navigators. Now, there are a lot of questions here. I know that was a lot of reading, but of course I had to update you guys on what was going on here. The idea is that Zuckerberg's NGO poured in millions upon millions of dollars specifically targeting Democrat districts, Democrat cities, changed procedures, changed documents, paid for voter navigators to increase voter turnout only in Democrat districts. A foreign influence coming into the state of Wisconsin and pouring in corporate billionaire money to influence the election in a particular direction. Now, this is an absolutely massive accusation. It's a bombshell breaking story. Of course, this is just what the report is stating, which I want to update you guys on. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's true, what isn't. But based on the Wisconsin Special Counsel investigation, under Mr. Gableman, he is alleging that Mark Zuckerberg's NGO, Mark Zuckerberg's Zuckerbucks, ran a scheme in the state of Wisconsin that could be considered bribery and may have violated multiple Wisconsin state election laws. That's basically the update. I'm not going to make any grand claims or go any further. Take what you will, and of course I will keep you guys updated on everything that follows. That's it for me though. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe. I'm going to get back to work though. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.